I never thought I'd be the kind of man locked out of his own home, but that's exactly what happened to me last Thursday. My name is Mark, I'm 34, and I work as a project manager in Denver. My wife, Emma, and I had been married for 6 years, or so I thought we were. The truth? We were drifting apart for a long time, and I just didn't see it coming. Emma was always the outgoing one, full of life and energy. I'm the quieter type, more comfortable behind the scenes. At first, our differences worked. I admired her spontaneity, and she said I grounded her. But lately things had changed. She was distant, distracted, and when I asked if something was wrong, she would brush it off. That night started like any other. Emma said she was going out with some friends, just a casual dinner. I stayed home, planning to get some work done, and maybe catch up on a show. Around 9 p.m., I noticed her phone lighting up with messages. A few minutes later, I got a text. It wasn't from Emma but from one of her close friends, Sarah. The message read, "Emma left. She's not coming back tonight. You need to know." My heart sank. I stared at the screen, numb and confused. What did she mean by that? Why would she leave without telling me? I called Emma's number. No answer. I texted, but no reply. Minutes later, I tried the front door. Locked. I checked the back door. Locked too. I was trapped outside my own house. The realization hit me hard. Emma had left, locked me out, and didn't want to talk. I sat on the porch steps, phone in hand, scrolling through old messages between Emma and Sarah. Bits and pieces of conversations started making sense. Plans, doubts, mentions of needing space. I hadn't noticed before because I trusted her, maybe too much. What broke me most was the last message I found from Emma to Sarah, sent just hours before she left. I can't do this anymore. I need to breathe. It wasn't just a fight or a bad day. It was the end of something I thought was unbreakable. The friend's text had shattered the illusion I lived in. I wasn't just locked out of my house. I was locked out of her life. After that night, I was left staring at an empty house and an even emptier feeling inside. I called Emma repeatedly for 2 days, but she never answered. Instead, the silence screamed louder than any argument we ever had. I didn't know what had driven her to this, but I was desperate to find out. By the 3rd day, I finally managed to reach Sarah. Her voice was hesitant when she answered. "Mark, I wasn't sure if I should say anything, but Emma needed space. She's been unhappy for months." Unhappy? That word hit me harder than any insult. I thought we were fine, but apparently, I had been blind to everything going on behind my back. Sarah told me Emma had been confiding in her about feeling suffocated, about feeling invisible in our marriage. "She said you don't notice her anymore," Sarah said softly. That was the moment I realized the cracks weren't just in our relationship. They had become canyons. I spent the next few days pacing my living room, replaying every conversation and moment with Emma. Had I missed signs? Was I so caught up in work that I forgot to be a husband? The guilt was crushing. Then came the text from Emma. It wasn't a message full of anger or blame. It was cold, almost clinical. "I'm at my sister's for now. Please respect my space." It wasn't a plea to fix things or an apology. It was a line drawn in the sand. Desperate for answers, I decided to visit Emma's sister's house. When I arrived, Emma was there, but she barely looked at me. The warmth was gone. "Mark," she said, voice low. "I can't live like this anymore. I need to figure out who I am, without being someone's wife." Her words were like a punch to the gut. I remembered the life we promised each other when we got married. Promises now feeling like distant memories. Days turned into a week, and Emma stayed away. Our friends started taking sides, and social media exploded with hints of our problems. I felt like I was living in a nightmare where every door was locked and every window barred. One night, Sarah sent me another message. This time it was different. She wrote, "Emma's afraid she's lost herself, and maybe she needs to before she can find us again." That message left me confused and broken. Was this the end, or a pause in our story? Could I wait for her to find herself, or had she already found a life without me? The silence between us stretched longer each day, filled with all the things we never said. One evening, I sat alone in our living room, surrounded by memories that now felt like strangers. Emma's absence was louder than any words. I realized then that locking me out wasn't just about the door. It was her way of telling me our marriage was broken in a way I hadn't been willing to admit. I reached out one last time. Not with anger, not with pleading, but with honesty. I told her how much I missed her. How deeply sorry I was for the times I wasn't present. I promised to listen, to understand, and to try again if she would let me. Days later, she replied. It wasn't a full reconciliation, but it was a start. She said she wasn't ready to come home yet, but she wanted to talk. That small thread of hope was all I needed to hold on. We met at a quiet cafe, the kind we used to visit before life became so complicated. Emma looked different, tired, guarded, but still the woman I fell in love with. We talked for hours, sometimes stumbling, sometimes laughing, but mostly listening. She told me about the loneliness she'd felt, the weight of expectations, and the struggle to hold on to herself while trying to be the perfect wife. I shared my regrets and the fear of losing her. For the first time in months, we weren't just two people living parallel lives. We were trying to rebuild a bridge. It's not easy. There are still walls and wounds, and the future is uncertain. But that day reminded me why I fell in love with Emma. Not just for the good times, but for the strength it takes to fight through the hardest ones. Her locking me out was painful, but it woke me up. Sometimes, the hardest lessons come in the sharpest moments. I'm not sure where we'll end up, but I know one thing. Silence can be broken, if two people are willing to listen.